Are we live? Hi, guys. We're live right now. You guys remember me? Fitzmonk TV? Hi. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you guys are well. Hi, guys. How we doing? Yeah, but we are live. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to come into the chat room here. You know, thank you, Rachel. I appreciate such kind words. I did miss my loyal subscribers. You guys are really good people. And for those of you guys who have been here for any amount of time, you guys know where I've been. You guys know why I've been gone. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about WrestleMania Backlash. We'll talk about Raw tonight. But yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm not gonna say it feels great to be here because, I'll be honest with you guys, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Just today in general hasn't really been the best day for yours truly, but still. But anyway, yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I am back here tonight with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here tonight with your Monday Night Raw review and results for May 2nd, 2022. The last episode we did was back in April, and I'm not talking about, last week. I think this is the first episode since WrestleMania weekend. If I'm being 100% honest, I did the WrestleMania review. You guys remember we night 1 and night 2. I did record a Raw after WrestleMania review, but it wasn't a good one. I was really, really fatigued and tired because WrestleMania weekend took out so much energy for me. And then, I recorded that review, I uploaded it, but then I deleted because I didn't want to put out that type of content. And I haven't posted any WWE content since. Haven't even posted many videos. I've only been really posting maybe like 2 videos a week, which, for those of you guys who are subscribed, that's not my normal. I usually try to post every other day, but things have been busy for me with my full-time job. And like I said, my passion for covering wrestling, it's still there. It's just that I've told you guys this before, if I'm not enjoying what I'm seeing on WWE TV, I'm just not going to come on and talk about it. I know you guys love the rants and all that, but I'm not going to sit here because doing reviews, I love doing podcasts, but it takes a lot of energy out of me. And, if I'm not happy with what I'm seeing on TV, I'm not going to waste time talking about it, and it's just that. So the last review was nearly a month ago. I've been watching Raw and SmackDown, but right now I'm being honest, there's nothing exciting. There's nothing exciting on WWE TV at all. Really, WWE's been stagnant since WrestleMania for the most part. You look at the WrestleMania Backlash card, it's not an awful card, but most of the card is just rematches from WrestleMania. Like, that's really what most of the card is. Edge and AJ Styles, Rousey and Charlotte, Omos versus Lashley, right? The majority of this card is just rematches. And, I was very excited for RK Bro and the Usos, right? They were going to do the tag team title unification match, but then that got changed to a 6-man tag match last week on SmackDown. So I'm just like, what are we doing here? And what's worse is it's a 6-man tag with no stakes. It's just a normal 6-man tag. If you wanted to at least kind of make it a little interesting, you could have made it winner take all, with both the tag titles and, both of Roman's titles on the line, right? And even though, every match that Roman Reigns is in is predictable, at least this would have, made things a little more interesting. But, and right now at the moment it's a 6-man tag. And I don't think they're gonna change it to a winner take all match with less than a week to the pay-per-view. If they were going to do a winner take all match, they would have announced it tonight. Why are they, some people are like, oh, they might wait till SmackDown to change the match. Why would you do that 2 days before the pay-per-view? They've been marketing this match now since Friday, right? They pushed it tonight. All 6 men were on the show in the opening segment, and they didn't change the match. Right now, it's a normal 6-man tag. So why wouldn't you, if you were going to change the match to a winner take all stipulation, why wouldn't you just do that tonight? Why would you wait 2 days till before the pay-per-view to do that? So that tells me, since they did do tonight, that tells me that they have no plans to make it winner take all. So yeah, and we all know it's probably most likely going to be the main event of the Backlash pay-per-view. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, and people were legitimately hyped for the Usos and RK Bro match. And yes, we've seen the match twice before, right? We saw the match at Survivor Series last year. Some will argue that it was the best match on the card. It was a fantastic match, right? Then they did the match again. I think it was either before WrestleMania. Yeah, I think they did the match a little bit before WrestleMania. And then, people were really hyped for them to do this unification match, because it had, with both tag team titles on the line, you can make an argument. It's one of the biggest tag team title matches of all time, with both the Raw and SmackDown titles being on the line. And then they just change it. This is part of my problem with WWE. They don't listen to their fans. And when it looks like they're finally getting something right, they go and then they fuck it up. Like, there was no need to change it to a 6-man tag if you weren't gonna make it winner take all. It doesn't make any sense. And on the flip side of that, Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, it's happening kind of early. Yes, if you guys remember, way before I was pitching for Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title at WrestleMania. But then, of course, they decided to go the Brock Lesnar route. And who was right? I was. Because the Lesnar and Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania was ass, right? Plus, WWE still does not have plans in place for Roman Reigns' Universal or the Undisputed Universal Championship. Because months ago, that wasn't the original plan for them to unify the titles. So WWE still doesn't know how they want to use Roman as an Undisputed Universal Champion, right? And now you're thinking about merging the tag titles. And even though it is kind of the right decision, you don't really have a plan for that. Clearly, because, it's like you only really wanted to do it to elevate Roman. That's another problem I have with WWE. I said this before. They do everything for Roman. They don't care about the rest of that roster at all. You look at how much talent they have. Roman's the only guy, really, that has a really, that's pushed to the moon. And it's disappointing and it's sad if you ask me, so I don't know. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with WWE's direction with this main event for WrestleMania Backlash, and it sucks. But here we are. There's not much we can do about it. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, remember the night after SmackDown after WrestleMania, they teased Shinsuke Nakamura versus Roman Reigns, right? And even though, yes, it's still Reigns would have won, it would have been predictable. But then they just went straight to Drew McIntyre. And that's a feud I originally wanted for WrestleMania, but you decided to have McIntyre in limbo with that feud with Corbin. And then, after WrestleMania, you're deciding, because if you really think about it, Drew and Roman is one of the only legitimately big feuds left for Roman, really. Because I say this every time I do the podcast. Reigns has run through everybody. You fed almost everybody on the main roster to him. There's only a couple guys left that Roman could face that, are legitimately big matches. And I know WWE wants to do Reigns and Rock at WrestleMania. I want to see the match. I think the match should be non-title, but still, you want to do Reigns and Rock for WrestleMania, and you want to get Reigns to hold that title for another year, which I still find to be ridiculous at this point. Because I'm over as much as I like Roman Reigns as a heel and all that, I'm over his run as Universal Champion. But the only guys left for Reigns that you could say are big feuds are McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. You can do probably another Seth Rollins match, but after that, that's it. And maybe Randy Orton, right? I know some people are gonna say Walter, but Walter hasn't been built up for it. And I don't want to hear it. But really, when I think about it, that's and of course, Cody Rhodes as well, right? But that's really it. That's only really the only 5 feuds left for Reigns that I think, because you've had him run through everybody. And the thing about it is, you've put Reigns over everybody. Right now, Reigns has both titles. So everyone else is in limbo because there's not much for everybody else to do because Reigns has already beaten everybody. And you're not going to have any of those guys beat Reigns for the title anytime soon. So it hurts everybody. You have Roman and then everybody else on the men's roster. And it's sad. It's sad. And here you have Drew McIntyre. This is a match that they could have done maybe a little bit later on, but they've done such a poor job of building up people to face Reigns that WWE has no choice. Let's be like, for the first couple weeks after WrestleMania, Reigns was doing nothing. He was doing nothing. You teased the match with Shinsuke, but you never did anything to follow up on it. And then for about 2 weeks after that, you had Reigns doing nothing, right? Just sitting around, sending the Usos over to Raw to go take the Raw tag team titles. And then it was until last SmackDown, on a pre-taped SmackDown, right? Because it's right now WWE was doing their big European tour. On a pre-taped SmackDown, you started the Drew McIntyre and Reigns feud because there was nobody else. And that leads us now to WrestleMania Backlash. What are we doing here? Honestly, what are we doing here? And it just shows, like, when you focus on just one guy, right, it hurts the rest of the company. And WWE just doesn't understand that. I understand that. I think most of you guys listening to this podcast or watching or whatever, you guys will understand that as well. It's just sad that WWE just doesn't get it. They just don't get it, and here's the thing. You're doing, I have a sore throat. You're doing Reigns and the Usos versus RK Bro and McIntyre, right? And now, right now, and it's probably going to be just a normal 6-man tag, non-winner take all. So what's your plan? Are you going to have Reigns, because if you think about it, right, none of these men should be losing, really. What's your plan? RK Bro should not be losing, especially if you still plan on doing the tag team title unification match at some point, because a couple of weeks ago when this feud started, you had the Usos show up on Raw and you made us believe that they were going to do the tag team title unification match right there. They didn't do it. Then you set the match for WrestleMania Backlash and then you change it to a 6-man tag, right? And I would guess, right, you're probably still planning on doing the tag team title unification match at some point. Maybe they're trying to save it for Hell in a Cell, right? Because we know that Hell in a Cell will be the next pay-per-view in June. When they're not really against a tag team title unification Hell in a Cell match, with those two teams, actually would probably be pretty damn cool. But still, who's gonna get pinned? Like I said, none of these men should be losing, right? Reigns is the undisputed champion. He's not gonna get pinned. Or, it's the most predictable thing in the world. You can go into any Roman Reigns match and know he's not getting pinned or submitted. McIntyre shouldn't be pinned or submitted either. If you're building him up to face the unbeatable Roman Reigns, McIntyre can't be losing at all. You know, and even though McIntyre is one of the top babyface in the whole company, still he shouldn't be losing. And if you're building towards a tag team title match with both these teams, none of them should be losing. So what happens? What happens? I don't know. My gut would say the babyfaces are going to win, right? Maybe Drew Claymore is one of the Usos, or they do a double RKO or something. But still, it just doesn't make sense. Their whole none of these men should be losing, and the whole way WWE has gone about this WrestleMania Backlash main event doesn't make any sense. Like, my prediction would be probably the babyfaces are gonna win somehow, and then at Hell in a Cell in June, we'll probably get McIntyre and Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Inside Hell in a Cell, along with RK Bro versus the Usos and tag team title unification inside Hell in a Cell. That's probably what I think is going to happen. But still, in my opinion, the way WWE has gone about this whole main event thing at WrestleMania Backlash is very disappointing. But that's just my personal opinion. All right, you guys are free to disagree with me. All right, but and look, I'm tired of Roman's, title reign. I've already said that before. But at the end of the day, WWE's going to do what WWE wants to do. And part of that is the reason why I don't talk about WWE as much as I used to on this podcast. Because WWE doesn't listen to their fans. I will say this right now. Cody Rhodes should be the one built up to take at least one of those titles away from Reigns. But I don't know. I don't know if they're actually going to do it or not. In WWE's eyes, Cody's the number 2 babyface on Raw. They have Bobby Lashley as the number 1 babyface internally on the show. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I did feel that I give my thoughts on the Backlash main event before we get into what happened on Raw tonight. But speaking of Cody Rhodes, really quick, quick story from Cody Rhodes tonight. This is actually pretty cool, and we'll see if the WWE actually goes through with this. So, on After the Bell, right? Cody Rhodes' podcast, or not Cody Rhodes, Corey Graves' podcast, on YouTube. Cody Rhodes said. Cody Rhodes said a lot of different things. He said that one key factor of the WWE that will help him, Corey, or let me just read the article to you guys instead of trying to condense it. So, Corey asked Cody about his return to WWE and some of the things he's done to get acclimated to the company. The American Nightmare mentioned one key factor of the WWE that will help him expand his career physically. I don't know, the way the grammar here is kind of weird. The American Nightmare mentioned one key factor of the WWE that will help him expand his career physically. There we go. Bus culture, I'm getting used to this, Rhodes said again. But the way the grammar of this article sucks. Bus culture, I'm getting used to this, Rhodes said. Again, I'm not going to try to take it for granted, but what a way to expand your career physically in terms of, oh my gosh, it's all here. I can bring my family on the road with me. It's all right in front of me and not having to do the rental cars and the flights every day. The bus culture, I'm really getting into. I did find that me being a new bus, I feel like they put me in the new bus position, which at the last 3 shows was directly where the fans gather in the parking lot. I spent all day with the fans, but you do have to walk by them 3 or 4 times. And yeah, that is true. If you go to any WWE show, you're gonna see fans line up at the buses because that's where the superstars, usually go all the time, right? And yeah, Cody Rhodes, he's one of the nicest guys in the world. He loves interacting with the fans. Yeah, but that's kind of funny. But yeah, he also talked about his AEW departure during the podcast. Talked about how the company would exist without him. Cody also mentioned one aspect of wrestling he wants to he wants to see brought back to the business today. Those need to be brought back to wrestling. By the way, the classic Seth Rollins said, I feel like if you have a talk segment, you need a bad set. That's the definition of it. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes also spoke about his quest to win the WWE Championship during his latest run with WWE. The former IC champion went back in time and spoke about bringing back the old school IC title during his title reign and whether or not he'll do the same with the WWE Championship. I did do that once with the IC title. It took a lot of work, but it was the right call once we got there, Rhodes said. I think there's a particular design of the WWE title that people are very fond of. I'll say, hypothetically, it really would be something to achieve the ultimate industry dream, being the best of the best ever in terms of that moment in time, and then perhaps giving it a fresh coat of paint. Giving a fresh coat of paint with the Winged Eagle title. That would be something. That's all I can really say. So yeah, so Cody's talking about here potentially bringing back the old school winged title, right? And remember, I believe the last time we saw that belt was Shawn Michaels, right? Right before that was back what 1998, I believe. That was what was it? WrestleMania 13, I want to say. I believe that was WrestleMania 13. It was WrestleMania 13, WrestleMania 14, somewhere around there. Remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, beat Shawn Michaels for the WWF title? That I do remember. So I believe that was the last time we saw the winged title be used. I could be wrong, could be right, but that's just what I remember. But Cody wants to bring back that winged title, and that would be a huge moment. I like the current design of the WWE Championship. I don't have any problem with it. I did like how back in the day, we had like the WWE Championship and then the World Heavyweight title, and they had two completely different designs, right? Uh, but I would have, no problem. I think that would actually be pretty cool if Cody won the WWE Championship and then, switched out that design with the winged title. I think that would be pretty damn cool if Cody got a chance to do that. But still, Cody would have to win that title first. I do think Cody should be the one to at least take the WWE Championship off them. I had no problems with there being two major belts, right? I think it's more of the other secondary titles I have problems with. But I had no problem with there being a Universal and WWE title. At the end of the day, they only merged the titles to elevate Roman. They didn't do it for the benefit of the whole roster. They did it for Roman Reigns. Okay. So I do think at some point Cody should be the one to at least take the WWE title off of him. I don't even really believe that the titles are truly unified. They're calling it the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, but um, I think they're only unified as long as Roman holds it. I do think at some point, when Roman drops that title, I think they're gonna split the titles back up again. They could do that with Money in the Bank. I've been saying that for months now. Money in the Bank will be very interesting to see if they use that to try to split up the titles again, or if they truly want to keep them unified. But that's whatever. That's besides the point. But I did find it interesting how Cody wants to bring back the old school winged WWE title. Man, I have a sore throat, guys. Oof. But anyway, leave a like if you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. But yeah, just wanted to talk about that really quick. I felt like that was kind of interesting. But um, but yeah, so let's talk about Raw tonight, right? We'll talk about Raw. And I'm not, like I said, you're not gonna really see me here rant, because that's not really in me. There's really nothing, that's really like pissing me off to the point where I want to rant. Really the biggest thing I don't like whether it be now outside of Roman Reigns being stuffed down our throats, is really Ronda Rousey. I like Ronda Rousey, right? But her run this year has been absolutely awful. She is nowhere near the Ronda Rousey she once was a couple of years ago. I loved Ronda Rousey during her initial run in WWE a couple of years ago. And what was that, 2019, I believe? You know, 2018, 2019. She has completely changed. She doesn't even really know how to be a babyface anymore. And her feud with Charlotte has been absolute garbage. But it's clear that no one in WWE sees that, because we're getting forced into a dreadful I Quit match with these two at Backlash, which I don't even know what to expect from that. But yeah, that's the thing that really pisses me off about WWE right now is how bad Ronda Rousey has been. This is coming from someone who used to be a big Ronda Rousey fan. Now she's just cancerous. I have no idea what's happened to her, But anyway, so here we are. But yeah, let's talk about Raw tonight. Like I said, there was nothing on the show that really pissed me off. But the opening segment was Roman Reigns. Reigns came out. I was kind of surprised. I thought they were still overseas. I know that they were doing the European tour, which they almost always do around this time. They always usually do the European tour a couple weeks after WrestleMania, before whatever the May pay-per-view is. And I thought they were still over there. I thought they were gonna do Raw in like England. They always do like at least one Raw in England a year. But they didn't. They were back in North Carolina, I believe. So Reigns came out to start the show. Right. And I would say one thing that was kind of cool. Reigns came out with the WWE Championship around his waist. And the thing is, Reigns, if I'm being honest, I think that's the first time throughout Reigns' entire run in the last year and a half where he's had the title around his waist. I could be wrong, but we're always so used to either Paul Heyman holding the title or Reigns holding the title on his shoulder, right? He almost, you never see Reigns hold the title around his waist. So it was kind of a weird sight for me. Let me fix my camera. But yeah, it was kind of a weird sight. It was kind of a weird sight, if I'm being honest, because you just don't see Reigns hold a championship around his waist. You just don't. Uh, but when I saw him holding that, and I saw Heyman holding the Universal title, it was like, huh? Because basically, remember the WWE title did belong to Monday Night Raw, right? And the Universal title belongs to SmackDown. That's why the Universal title is blue. So you know, I guess what Reigns plans to do now, is maybe depending on what show he's appearing on, he's gonna have that title around his waist. So if he's on Raw, he'll have the black, WWE Championship around his waist. If he's on SmackDown, he'll have the blue Universal title around his waist. I think that's a kind of cool detail. It is. It's kind of a cool detail, But that's just something I noticed right away at the start of the show. Reigns came out. Damn my throat. Holy shit. It's bothering me, guys. Yeah. But anyway, um, ooh, um, but yeah, Reigns came out and his entrance was felt like forever tonight. It was a really long entrance, and as much as I love Roman's theme song, right? And his entrance is kind of cool, it's just way too long, you know. Reigns then not Reigns, Heyman cut a promo really quick. Reigns did his normal thing. North Carolina acknowledged me, and out of nowhere, this was kind of cool. RK Bro appeared and they RKO'd the Usos, right? Continuing their feud. And instead of attacking Reigns, who was by himself in the ring, they allowed Drew McIntyre to come out, and then McIntyre and Reigns got into a big brawl, very very similar to what happened on SmackDown this past week. So they got into a big brawl, and then um that was that. They had referees come out to try to separate them. We got back from break, and that was it. So yeah, they had all six of the men on the show just to have a brawl. To continue the storyline of the six-man tag going into this Sunday at Backlash. Right? They did say all six men will be on SmackDown, so we'll see what happens then. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just do another brawl. They did a brawl on SmackDown. They did a brawl on Monday, tonight on Raw, and we'll see. I don't know what else will be different on SmackDown, but that was it. So Raw segment, and that was really that. Excuse me. Ugh. But yeah, so nothing crazy there, and that was that. Like I said, I think the way they've gone about the WrestleMania Backlash main event is disappointing, but we'll see. I know it's gonna be a great match. Like all six of these men are, amazing workers, right? I think the match will be carnage. It just sucks because there's really no stakes on the line. If you really want to make this match something, you could have made it winner take all, right? But it is a little bit disappointing. Um, but yeah, that was it. So then moving on, we had Kevin Owens and Alpha Academy versus Ezekiel and the Street Profits in a six-man tag. Uh, so this was the same thing as last week almost. The only difference really was Ezekiel and KO are continuing their feud, and then you had the Street Profits and was it Gable and Otis or Alpha Academy, right? You had them instead of what it was last week in the 8-man tag. So they showed a quick backstage segment where KO threw a cup of water at Ezekiel's face, right? But that was that. But yeah, this was a decent match. Was pretty quick to the point. But this was nothing crazy. The baby faces got their asses kicked for the most part, and then they made their comeback, right? And that was that. So KO and Alpha Academy were able to steal the win here after KO tripped Ezekiel, so Gable could roll him into the pin. So then the heels win, and that will continue the feud into next week. Like I said, I love Kevin Owens. He is great. Even though this feud isn't anything major, right? KO's doing a great job here. I love KO. Every week he makes it so believable that he believes Ezekiel is Loki Elias, right? And KO is awesome. You guys know how much I love KO. But yeah, and I'll even say this: Ezekiel Elias. I believe it's the same actor, or the same guy. So Ezekiel, he showed me some cool stuff in that match tonight. His athleticism, some power. That was stuff. Some of the moves there. When he was Elias, he wasn't doing much of that. It was kind of cool to see him pull some of this stuff out of his bag, and it kind of made me wish that they had Elias do a little bit more of that when he was, playing the Elias character. But it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything too major. It was all right. And yeah, we'll see where the feud goes from here. With KO and Ezekiel. But yeah, that was that. Next up, uh, we had a brief backstage interview with AJ Styles, where AJ revealed that in his match later on in the show with Damian Priest, that if he was to win, Damian Priest would be banned from ringside for the AJ Styles and Edge match this weekend at WrestleMania Backlash. Kind of made the match a little more predictable, but that's besides the point. They also did they showed a quick They showed a conversation between Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce revealed that Sonya would be stripped of her WWE official powers when she was put in a 6-woman tag match in the main event, where she would be teaming with Becky and Rhea Ripley against Asuka, Bianca Belair, the Raw Women's Champion, and Liv Morgan. I'll say this, from a storyline perspective, Sonya should have kind of already been fired. She's clearly abused her power to a ridiculous degree, right? It made no, and she's attacked multiple WWE superstars while dressed as an official. So just if we're trying to make logic here, it doesn't make any sense as long as even still a WWE official, right? But whatever, I'm just trying to make logical sense of the story they're presenting to us. But yeah, so they revealed it would be a 6-woman tag match, the main event of the show, and that Sonya would not be allowed to use any of her executive power. But like I said, I don't know why Sonya hasn't even been fired yet. But anyway, that was that. That was set up for later on in the night, in the main event. Excuse me. Yeah, next up we had Veer in another squash match. So Bert Hansen, right? He got interviewed by Byron Saxon, and basically Saxon asked him why he would want to risk his own health by accepting this match with Veer. And then Bert talked about a local restaurant he worked at, right? Yeah, he actually got a kind of a pop from the crowd, so I'm guessing most of the crowd knows of that restaurant. It must be some kind of hit down there in the Carolinas. But he mentioned that and how it was his dream to have a match on Raw in his hometown, but Veer destroyed him very, very quickly. Choked him out like 2 minutes into the match. And after the match, he did a post-match beatdown, choked him out a little bit more. So, that was it. Veer, he looked good here, but I'm getting tired of the squash matches. We know WWE's formula when it comes to these types of matches, right? Yeah, they just put the guy in squash matches forever and ever and ever. I'm already sick of it. I'm already sick of the squash matches here. So I don't know what WWE's plan is, but I think they need to figure out something to do with Veer rather quickly because I'm already getting tired of the squash matches very, very quickly. Like let's get this guy into some actual programs, like please, But that was it, and then yeah, so Veer wins another squash match here on Raw. Moving on, moving on. You can see we're moving pretty damn quickly through the podcast today. Uh, Damian Priest took on AJ Styles, and like I said earlier, the stipulation would be that if Styles won the match, Priest would be barred from ringside for the rematch between Edge and Styles slated for WrestleMania Backlash this Sunday. This was a pretty good match. Of course, Styles and Priest, they've had matches on Raw throughout this year. They have, a decent amount of chemistry. And of course, I still think AJ Styles, even at this point in his career, at his age, he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. So, this was a good match. And before the bell, Edge cut a pretty damn good promo. Edge is really good at being a heel. If I could find it on WWE's YouTube, I'll play it for you guys really quickly. See if I can find it. I'm on WWE's YouTube channel right now. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I think I found it. 1 second.
Now, I know most of you can't stand to look at yourselves in the mirror. I know that most of you probably don't like me anymore. In fact, you're probably like everyone else in the world. Maybe you despise me. But that's because you despise yourselves. You can't look in the mirror because it would make you physically ill. And if not, it should. It is a miracle that everyone here in Greensboro, North Carolina Oh, shut up. It is a miracle.
I love. He's like, oh, shut up. Fucking Edge, it's great.
On your shoe in Greensboro, North Carolina. Make you physically ill, and if not, it should.
Edge is so good at being a heel.
It is a miracle.
I don't even think he, believes half this stuff. Edge is one of the nicest guys I've heard in the business. I think he's just really good at playing his character.
It would be known as the Greensboro Lemmings. Now I know that flew over all of your heads, so let me explain. A lemming is a rodent. Or in this metaphorical sense, it is a group of people like yourselves with very few teeth that will join a mass movement rushing headlong into destruction. AJ Styles, don't be a lemming for once in your life. Use your intelligence. but I know you won't. That's not the way you're wired. Your heart outweighs your brain. But AJ, just know that by not staying at home with your wife and kids, by not hugging them tight, you are rushing headlong into pain and judgment at WrestleMania Backlash. I said he is rushing into pain and judgment at WrestleMania Backlash. You peanuts!
This is great. This is great. You peanuts. He says, argue with the fans, egging them on. And that's got to be the bring it part. Remember when he was a babyface, when he would come up to his entrance, he would go to opposite sides of the stage and tell the fans, bring it. Let me hear it. Boston. Let me hear Texas. Let me bring it. Give me your energy. Now he's like, bring it. Bring me your heat. He's playing this character so well, and he's having so much fun with it. You can tell. That's great heel shit right there.
Way to go. Kudos to you. Well played. I hope it was worth it because now you find out the punishment that you will receive by walking into the dark.
And AJ Styles came out.
I said you're rushing into pain and judgment at WrestleMania Backlash. You peanuts! Bring it! Come on, bring it! Come on! Come on! So,
Not gonna lie, Edge having his hair tied up like that had to kind of makes him look younger. But anyway, so Styles would come out and then they would do the match with him and Damian Priest. Like I said, this was a pretty damn good contest, right? It took up 2 commercial breaks, right? So yeah, this was very, very physical. And there was a couple points in the match where I actually almost thought that Priest was gonna win because Edge was interfering at ringside, right? So I almost thought for a second that Priest had the victory, but Styles kept kicking out. Styles was able to get the roll up, which of course WWE does way too much. But yeah, Styles was able to get the win with the roll up, but he had absolutely no time to celebrate as uh Edge and Priest beat him down immediately after the match ended. And they looked like they were going to have Styles get injured again, right? Because he did have tape on his left shoulder, which Priest and Edge were trying to attack. But right at that moment, what's his name? Finn Balor came out. Finn Balor came out, and this was actually pretty damn cool. Finn Balor came out and saved AJ Styles, right? And afterwards, Styles and Balor did the Bullet Club. They did the club. Uh, um, they did the club symbol, which was actually pretty damn cool. That's people have actually wanted for a long time for Styles and Balor to team up. That's actually a thing in the community. People have been wanting that. The most interaction we all remember Styles and Balor having was at TLC a couple years ago. What was it? I think this was maybe 2017, I believe. If you guys remember, that was the paper. It was year 2017, 2018, something like that. Remember, that was the pay-per-view where like half the roster was either sick or they were stuck overseas, right? I think because something happened in Saudi Arabia. I don't remember all the specifics, but yeah, I remember WWE was down people for that pay-per-view, and then they did Styles versus Finn Balor, which was absolutely the best match of the night. That was a great match between those two. And then they did the club symbol afterwards, and people have been wanting those two to team up for years now. They've had feuds, right? You guys remember a couple years back they feuded a little bit back. That was back when Gallows and Anderson were still with the company. But seeing them team up tonight, right? Balor saving Styles and then them doing the symbol afterwards was pretty cool. There's also a pretty cool photo of them on Instagram doing the symbol backstage. Uh, I think if Balor and Styles want to team up, that would be great. I always say, WWE needs tag teams, and yes, I kind of understand Styles was just in a tag team recently with Almas a couple months ago, but Styles and Balor is a team people have wanted to see for years now. I would love to see Styles and Balor together. Maybe they'll team up with against Edge and Damian Priest for the meantime, right? But I would have no problem if you want to make them into a tag team. Them being a babyface tag team would be great. Like, oof. Styles and Balor versus RK Bro, Styles and Balor versus the Usos potentially down the line. Like, I would love to see some of these matches. Styles and Balor versus the New Day, like, give it to me, please. So we'll see how far this goes. If they're actually WWE's actually seriously considering having Styles and Balor be a team go forward. Like I said, lots of people would love to see it. So I think that was pretty cool. It will be interesting to see, because now at WrestleMania Backlash with Damian Priest barred from ringside, it should be fair, right? So we'll see. If I had to make a prediction, I think probably Styles will pick up the victory, and then they'll have a third match between these two, maybe at Hell in a Cell. There's a chance that Styles and Edge could end up being inside Hell in a Cell for all we know. But but I do expect Styles and Edge to kill it at WrestleMania Backlash, have another great match. Will it be better than the WrestleMania match? Potentially, it'll depend on how much time they get. And if I had to pick, I'm gonna pick Styles for now. But still, I'm excited to see what happens between these two at Backlash. This should be a good time. Should be a good match. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Balor, and we'll see if WWE wants to keep them as a unit going forward. I think that would be pretty fun to see. But yeah, moving on. We had Mustafa Ali as Mrs. Guest on Miz TV. I see King says Balor going. He says Balor's going to turn on AJ and join Edge's faction. That would be cool. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know. That would be cool. Finn Balor turning heel on the main roster. That's something we really haven't seen. So, if they do that, that would be cool. But I don't know. I don't think they're gonna do that. So we had Miz TV with Mustafa Ali, right? And look, as great as it's great to see Ali being on TV and kind of have a storyline. it just feels forced. It just kind of feels like they're bringing him back just to embarrass him, right? I'm happy to see him on TV because Ali is great and he deserves to shine, but it just feels like he's been brought back to embarrass him. You know, I this and tonight was the first time I actually realized that they gave him his first name back. Remember, he was called Ali. They stripped him of Mustafa and then they called him Ali for like a good year. Now he's being back to becoming now he's back to be excuse me. Now he's back to being called Mustafa Ali. Uh, but it's just disappointing. It just disappointing. I'm happy to see him on TV, but it just feels forced. All of this just feels forced, right? And it feels like it's more that they're just trying to embarrass him, if anything, right? It's like they're saying, "Hey, like, you want to go public, and you want to be this symbol of how to try to get out of your contract and stuff like that. Well, here we're gonna embarrass you on live TV, and with some of the stuff they did tonight, like after Miz introduced Ali, his entrance was cut short. They just stopped playing his music, right? When he picked up his mic for about half the segment, his mic was not working, until he stole Mrs. Mike. Right. Then they put him in a handicap match where you knew that his chances of winning were pretty damn low. So it just feels like they're just trying to embarrass Ali, if anything. Uh, so but I'll say this: the Miz is a great heel. Like Miz or hate him, he is good at his job. He's really good at his job. He's good at getting heel heat, right? Even Theory, right? Theory, he's good at getting heel heat as well, right? But it just still, it's I just don't like the way Ollie's being treated here. It just feels like they're just trying to embarrass him and send a message to other people who want to go public. And they even talked about it. Ali said that when Miz has complaints, he goes to the higher ups. Ali says when he has complaints, right, he goes straight to the WWE universe, right? So it just feels like, I just don't like the way WWE's treating Ali here. Um, uh, But yeah, so then Theory came out, right? And first Theory said that he told the Miz that after talking to Vince McMahon, his loss to Ali last year was wiped from the record books, like it never even happened, which doesn't make any sense at all. Well, that's what's the point of that? Uh and like, come on. And then Theory told Ali that he would get a championship contenders handicap match against him and Miz tonight. So if Ali won, he could earn a shot at the belt in the near future. I hate championship contenders matches because most of the time the championship contenders match has the actual champion in the match. So I usually hate these things. Uh so I was like, well, like, what the hell are we doing? So then um So then they did the handicap match, right? Ali did a good job of fighting, but of course, the numbers game. And then Miz was able to hit the Scar finale to get the win. And yeah, there you had it. And then after the match, Ciampa, formerly known as Tommaso Ciampa attacked him from behind, and that there's that. So I guess for now, this takes Ollie out of the U.S. Championship hunt, right? Because he lost his championship contenders match, and they're getting focused on Ciampa. This is the second straight week that they've had Ciampa attack Ali from behind. They have not explained why Ciampa's a heel yet. They haven't explained why Ciampa has targeted Ali. So, like I said, I think Ali and Ciampa could have some absolute bangers. Absolute bangers. These two are both amazing, but they gotta tell us some kind of story here. They gotta explain to us why is Ciampa acting this way, right? Because last we saw him at Takeover, he was a babyface. Why is he all of a sudden a heel again? You know? Uh and what's his problem with Ali? Why can't he stand Ali? But I am, I want to be invested in the feud between these two because I really do enjoy both of these two work. Hopefully it's compelling. Hopefully it's compelling. So I think, continuing this feud next week, uh, we need to get a reason why Ciampa's heel all of a sudden and why Ciampa hates or why is Ciampa targeting Ali. I think that's our next step. But yeah, so there you have it. Uh, and last thing, WWE, is they keep almost bringing up Ali asking for his release without really acknowledging it. Like I said, they had Miz talk about, and Ali talked about how when he has problems, he goes to the WWE universe, right? So clearly, they're referencing the Ali wanting his release, right? And Ali's, he's doing his best to get some cheers and stuff like that, but if you really want to make a story out of it, you should like kind of acknowledge it for real, acknowledge it for real. That about Ollie's release. Stop trying to beat about the bush, right? It's like they don't want Ollie mentioning it how he asked to release WWE for real, you know. But you can make a compelling story out of it if you do it right. But so far they haven't really done anything much with that. But either way, it was we'll see what happens between Ali and Ciampa, but still, stop, you know, beating about the bush and stop talking about, bringing up Ali's release and unless you're actually going to go through with it, fully. That's the way I see it. But yeah, that was it. So next up, you had Nikki Ash versus Dana Brooke, right? And this was This how the 24/7 title is. So they had Dana Brooke and Reggie along with Tamina and Tozawa looking at apartments with our truth. Like I said, our truth has been absolutely hilarious. We love our truth's comedy, man. It's probably the only good thing that you can get from the 24/7 title scene. It really is. Everything else about that title is garbage. The only good thing is you get our truth, who's actually pretty hilarious. Um, you know, but Brooke was very frustrated with Reggie, right? Because Reggie had tried to pin her for the title a couple weeks back. And Dana said that if she wanted her and Reggie to stay married, he needed to get her a rematch for the 24/7 title. So that was the setup for uh Dana versus Nikki Ash. And I forgot to mention Nikki pinned Dana backstage for the 24/7 title. So they got the match, right? Oh gosh. But anyway, so Brooke ended up hitting a neck breaker to get the win on Nikki Ash, right? But then a bunch of chaotic stuff happened, and then Reggie tried to roll up Dana at ringside, and Dana was able to kick out, but Dana slapped the shit out of him and told him that she wanted a divorce before. Uh, yeah, Dana told Reggie that she wanted a divorce, and that was mainly that. The funny thing I found here is Nikki Ash, how she's been downgraded. You would forget that what a little over half a year ago, coming out, a little bit before SummerSlam, Nikki Ash was the Raw Women's Champion for a short period of time, right? She was the Raw Women's Champion, and then in the fall, she was a tag team champion with Rhea Ripley. Now she's out here fighting for the 24/7 title. That doesn't tell you how worthless or how WWE views Nikki Ash. I don't know what will. The one interesting thing that uh WWE did with Nikki Ash is later in the night they did a segment where our truth was talking to Reggie, right? Reggie was down in the dumps because of his divorce that was happening. And R-Truth revealed that he's also uh a divorce counselor, something like that. I forget. So I guess with R-Truth, I guess he has everything. He's a marriage licenser, he's a real estate seller, now he's a divorce counselor as well. So R-Truth was actually pretty damn hilarious tonight. He had a gray shirt jacket and wearing a gray tie, even though he was shirtless. Uh and then that that was pretty funny. Uh And then as he was talking to Reggie, R-Truth said that, I hope you have a prenup, right? Everyone in marriage and everyone should know what a prenup is, right? And R-Truth asked Reggie if he had a prenup. Reggie said, "What the hell was that?" And right, R-Truth was like, "Damn, Reggie, you look like you're in some trouble." And that was that. The Like I said, the only other thing that happened with Nikki Ash is as R-Truth fan Reggie were talking. Nikki was down in the dumps backstage when then she was confronted by Dewdrop. And I I don't even remember the last time Dewdrop was on television, right? I think the last time Dewdrop was on television was when she faced Becky for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't even remember what pay-per-view that was. Was that the Rumble, I think? That's the last time I remember Dewdrop being on television, you know? But yeah, so they had Dewdrop confront Nikki, and Dewdrop asked Nikki, "Are you ready to stop playing around?" And Nikki said, "Yeah." So it seems like now they are gonna team Nikki and Dewdrop together, right? Of course, the women's tag division does need teams like always because they break up teams. They break up and form teams like with the snap of a finger. Remember, Sasha and Naomi need challengers, right? They've already taken care of Rhea and Liv were no longer a team. Right now, they're feuding with Natalia and Shayna Baszler, right? And it looks like Dewdrop and Nikki Ash could potentially be future challengers for Sasha and Naomi for the tag titles. Um, but yeah, I guess the idea of Nikki and Dewdrop is kind of interesting, but it's just funny because Nikki was just feuding, or Nikki was not feuding. Nikki was just teaming with Rhea Ripley at the beginning of this year, the beginning of the calendar year. Nikki was teaming with Rhea, right? Then they broke them up. Then they had Rhea team with Liv for a couple months. Then they just broke up Rhea and Liv, and now Nikki's gonna be in a new tag team with Dewdrop. Just shows how pathetic WWE can be when it comes to booking the women's division. All those mixed tag teams, like why? And that's all just in the what 5 months now, right? In like 5 months of the calendar year. So yeah, WWE man, they are something else, something else. Um. Oh yeah, quick question. Oh, I see my bro. I wasn't looking at the chat, but I saw Purple Bond saying Nut 29. He's a friend from Discord. Good to see you in the chat, brother. He says, "What's up, bro? Thoughts on the Malcolm? Thoughts on the Malcolm Bivens release and Roger Strong wants to release from the ADB? Yeah, sure, of course. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Yeah. So I hate the NXT releases. I really do. Like I always say this, really, none of these people will have trouble finding work. In terms of Malcolm, it was his choice. He wanted to be released because I read a report that WWE actually wanted him to be the manager of Almas before they asked MVP to do it. So like look, I wouldn't mind Malcolm being almost his manager, but clearly Malcolm didn't want to do it. I don't blame him, right? But that was his choice. He wanted to leave, and I don't blame anybody for if they want to leave WWE. You know, the only people in WWE that shouldn't want to leave are Brock, Goldberg, the part timers, and if you're Roman, Becky Lynch, or Charlotte. Outside of that, anybody that wants to be released from WWE, I would not blame them at all for asking for it. All right. So Malcolm leaving WWE, that's his choice. I could definitely see him going to AEW or somewhere else. I don't know the guy that well. I did enjoy him on WWE TV. I was looking the other day at Dakota Kai. There was a video, and of course, Dakota Kai game released from WWE is sad. The facts that I say this all the time, like Dakota Kai versus Sasha Banks. What a feud! What a match that could have been. You know, but Dakota never even made it to the main roster. They had Dakota Kai in NXT for what, 4 years, right? And we all remember Dakota Kai's legendary heel turn on Tegan Nox a couple years ago at NXT Takeover War Games. Um, it sucks. I definitely think Dakota Kai will probably end up in AEW here in a couple months because why wouldn't she? But you know, I saw a video of Dakota Kai doing the busted challenge and then Malcolm appearing. And then Malcolm say, "Oh, what were you expecting, huh? What did you think you were gonna get? You know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get to watch Scooby Doo with Malcolm." I just started dying when I saw that. That's let me see if I can actually find it right now, guys. I need something to laugh about, but yeah, so Malcolm wanted to leave WWE. Doesn't really bother me. Um, Dakota Kai, that bothers me. That one bothers me. All right. Because I love Dakota Kai and she never was booked correctly in NXT. Like I really do think she should have won the NXT women's title at some point. The fact that she never won that title does bother me.
I know you played your political games. You talked to Adam Pearce, and you made sure that tonight, if you beat Damian Priest, he is barred from ringside.
Hey, sorry. Oh, wow, that was a lag. But anyway, yeah, Dakota Kai never won the NXT Women's title does bother me. Dexter Loomis getting released. I loved him and Indy Hartwell in NXT. I love them, and I don't even think Indy Hartwell has said anything on social media about Dexter's thing. Uh, so I am sad about that. I loved Dexter Loomis, on NXT, and I'm sad about that. Uh and I love Indy Hartwell. So if Indy Hartwell gets well like, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, uh I love Indy Hartwell. If Indy Hartwell gets released, that will break my heart because I love Indy Hartwell and I want to see her versus Sasha Banks on the main roster right now or one day, but we'll see. Yeah, Indy Hartwell being released is sad. Um oh yeah, she hasn't been released. Sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up. But yeah, Dexter Loomis game release is sad. Dakota Kai game release is really sad. Malcolm Malcolm Byvids, that's his choice. And last but not least, you said Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong, the fact that he's still in NXT surprises me. Last year he had the option to leave WWE, right? And he chose to resign. He legitimately chose to resign. I don't know why he didn't leave when he got the chance, you know? And I heard based off the report today that Roger Strong is not going to get released, because WWE has plans for him, supposedly. I doubt that they actually have plans for him, but we'll see. But, when he surprised last year, that surprised me. If he wanted to really be gone, he should have not resigned. But anyway, that's where we're at with him. Of course, like we don't know, he would go straight to AEW. They're like, we don't know that for a fact. His wife is over there now competing in the women's division. She's not that good, to be honest, but we know Roderick's wife is over in AEW right now. Roddy would be there in seconds. That Roddy's dying to rejoin the Undisputed Era. or the Undisputed Elite. We all know that they would do that in a second. They would just have Cole, what's it, Cole, Fish, Riley, reunite with Strong. I think WWE knows that as well. And I think WWE is not going to give Roddy what he wants. Maybe in a couple months, maybe, but I don't think WWE's keeping Roderick Strong in WWE because they have legitimate plans for him. I think they're keeping him because they know he wants to join his wife and his buddies in AEW. Because Cole let his contract expired and he just walked. Vince wanted him on the main roster, but Cole was like, nah, I want to go to AEW. Same thing with Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly waited for his contract to expire, and then he went to AEW. Bobby Fish, his contract expired, he went to AEW. None of those guys were released or fired. They all just waited for their contract to expire, and then they went over there. Right? Strong contract did expire last year as well. But he chose to resign. And now, he may not be able to get out, soon. I hope he does get the chance to get out of that contract, but right now it's not looking good for him. It's not looking so good for our boy Roddy. We'll see what happens we'll see if they actually have any plans for him on WWE TV. I doubt it, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that's my thoughts on what's going on with the whole all the NXT releases. It's kind of funny. Indy Hartwell has not tweeted anything in the last 3 days. So I wonder how she feels about Dexter Lumis. I don't know if they had an actual romantic relationship outside of NXT. I know we all know they were married on screen and they're good friends at least, but I don't know if they actually had a romantic relationship off screen, but that's besides the point. But yeah. Let me see if I can find that Malcolm Bibles video. It's hilarious. I just want to see it once, please. Please, somebody, please find that video. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find the Dakota Kai busted challenge with Malcolm Bibles. It's absolutely hilarious. I need to see it. And somehow, as I'm looking for it, this person tweeted on Twitter, and I 100% agree. This guy, Daniel McCliver, he said, I have no idea what WWE wants anymore from its developmental system. They can't want great wrestling ability as people like Dakota Kai had that in spades. They can't want great character work as people like Malvin Bivens slash Dexter Lumis had that in spades. Just baffling. That's facts. That's facts. Great character. WWE release of guys with great character work and women with great wrestling ability. What else could you want? Well, I gotta find it, man. I'm sorry, guys. It's bothering me now. I'm gonna find it. If I can't find it in the next minute, we'll just get on with with the rest of the podcast. But please, I may have come on. Found it. Yes. Come on, load. Okay, I found it. Here we go.
You're gonna see.
This shit makes me laugh every time. I love this shit.
What you think you're gonna see? Right? What you think you're gonna see? Well, guess what you're gonna see? You're gonna see Scooby-Doo Wrestlemania Mystery with Malcolm Bivens. Come on, we can watch it together. Come on, come on. What you think you're gonna see, huh? What you think you're gonna see? Well, guess what you're gonna see? You're gonna see Scooby-Doo Wrestlemania Mystery with Malcolm Bivens. Come on, we can watch it together. Come on, come on.
Scooby Doo WrestleMania Big. That's hilarious, man. That is absolutely hilarious. I love it. Scooby Doo WrestleMania Victor or uh, WrestleMania Mystery, man. That's just hilarious. But yeah, that so yeah, thank you, Purple Bot saying for that super chat. And yeah, hopefully I answered your question. Anyway, let's get back into this. So, like I said, we'll see what happens with Nikki Ash and Dewdrop being a tag team. Like I said, WWE breaks up tag teams and forms tag teams. It's ridiculous. You know, it's insane. This will be what Nikki's third tag team partner in the last year and a half, right? Because remember during the pandemics, he was teaming with Alexa Bliss before Alexa turned into the feed and all that. But yeah, you know, I think one good thing is if it gets Nikki out of that ridiculous superhero outfit, because Dewdrop did say, "Are you done? You know, are you done messing around?" Right. So I would love to see Nikki get out of that ridiculous superhero gimmick. It's horrible. It sucks. You know. So we'll see. You know what WWE has planned with these two as a tag team. Like I said, I could see them potentially going up against Sasha and Naomi at some point here in the next couple months, but uh, we'll see. We'll see. But they are chasing a tag team with Nikki and Dewdrop. That will be interesting to see how they go about that. Right. But yeah. Moving on. We had Cedric Alexander versus Bobby Lashley. Earlier in the night, Cedric tried to reform his alliance with MVP. We all remember at one point, MVP, Lashley, Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin made up the Hurt Business, right? And so the fact that WWE broke them up, what was that, a year ago now, right? That decision still baffles me because they were so good together. But yeah, they broke up the Hurt Business and all that. Alexander and Shelton Benjamin haven't been the same since, right? Uh, so Alexander tried to convince MVP to let him, to reform their alliance here, but MVP said even though he respected Alexander coming up to him, right? MVP said that he's now focused on bigger things in terms of almost. And then Alexander said, "At least watch my match tonight with Bobby Lashley." Right. And then MVP almost said they would be there. They had Lashley versus Alexander happen. You know, they gave Lashley the podium entrance, very similar to his WrestleMania entrance. So they had Lashley on the podium doing his pose, right? His arms folded, that he did his normal, his point to the crowd, right? I think it's a cool entrance. I love it. You know, so Lashley came out, hype as always, gave the crowd, and then Alexander came out. The big thing here is usually this would be a squash match. The match didn't last long, but the only reason why the match actually went a couple minutes is because Lashley was distracted from MVP and all of us. MVP had a mic and was talking crap to Lashley as he was going up against Alexander. You know, so Alexander attacked Lashley from behind because Lashley was looking at MVP, but then Lashley took control again when he slapped Alexander to the ground when Alexander went for a suicide dive, right? Then he launched Alexander into the barricade and then into the ring post. And then he put Alexander into the hurt lock, and that was it. After the match, lastly, dared Almas to get into the ring, but MVP held him back, telling him to save it for Sunday. So, lastly, Almas will be taking place at Backlash. I'm not hyped for it at all because I didn't even like their WrestleMania match. I like Lashley, but you guys know how I feel about Almas. Almas sucks. Almas, the only place where Almas is good is WWE 2K22. I played WWE 2K22. I love the game, right? And I was actually playing earlier this week as Albus because he was in the new he's in the season pass. He's part of the DLC. Uh the one that they released with Yokozuna, Rikishi, uh Almas is in there. I'm forgetting like two other people. Uh Umaga. Yeah, Umaga's in there. And then there's like an NXT superstar whose name I can't remember right now. But this is actually kind of fun to play with in 2K22. That's really the only time I want to see Almas on the screen. If I'm playing with him in WWE 2K22. That's it. In real life, the guy sucks. It's like Almas in WWE 2K22 actually moves pretty good around the ring, and his moveset's actually pretty cool. In real life, the guy sucks. He sucks. And his match with Lashley at WrestleMania wasn't that good. I'm not really expecting anything better coming in, going to WrestleMania Backlash. You know, I don't know if Lashley's gonna win. I can see WrestleMania Backlash being a show where a lot of people who lost at WrestleMania pick up victories. So if WWE wants to continue this feud, right? Because clearly they're gonna keep this Almas thing going with Lashley until they have Lashley get his hands on MVP, right? So we'll see, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Almas wins, at Backlash because something MVP does. I'm not excited about the match at all. I don't really care about this feud, right? But we'll see it happens. We'll see what happens at Backlash. So yeah, that's about it. Uh Next up, it was Seth Rollins Appreciation Night, right? Seth Rollins Appreciation Night. Seth, was drawing inspiration from what they did for Randy Orton last Monday night on Raw. And, Rollins, was doing great heel stuff here. He came out with one of his ridiculous flower suits, right? And then he talked about how he should be appreciated for being the megastar that he is. He even had his own spotlight, a la Batista back in 2010. You guys remember when Batista used to walk out with his with the spotlight. And yeah, that Seth was saying in the ring, he did he did a really good job of trying to get the fans to shut up after they started chanting Cody, right? Seth was like, this is about me. This has nothing to do with Cody at all. And then Cody would eventually come out. Cody's suit was great, I made a joke on Twitter. The Cody versus Seth, the biggest the most important part of this rivalry is not what happens in the ring. It's who wears the better suits each week. I love the suit that Cody was wearing tonight, man. But yeah, I'm gonna play this clip for you guys. It'll be our last promo clip of the evening.
Let me make it clear. Since my return, I have been nothing but professional. I've been courteous. Even when you shoved me off the top rope, I've been a gentleman. I have a feeling that you're about to cross the line right before WrestleMania Backlash that you don't want to cross. I could tell you that you're one of the best superstar wrestlers in the last 20 years, and it would be true. I could also tell you that you are delusional, and it would be true. Delusional? Me? I'm delusional. I'm the one in this ring that's delusional. That's rich. That is rich coming from you, kid. Oh, man, look, no, hear me out. The American dream, Dusty Rhodes, the late great, your father, he wrestled hundreds, if not thousands of times in this very arena. But just like you, he was an egomaniac who thought he was larger than life and thought he transcended the business. And it looks to me like the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Dusty was delusional, and so are you. Dusty really wanted to be the WWE champion, but he wasn't good enough. And as long as I'm here, you're not good enough either. Oh! Rollins crossed the line. I agree with you. Seth Rollins taking personal shots at Cody Rhodes, who's turned the table and the nightmare teeing off on Rollins. Those shots on Rollins. Can't expect Cody Rhodes to take those insults directed at his father. It was disgusting. Completely disgusting by Rollins. Cody Cutter! Cody Rhodes is
All right, so yeah, this was actually really cool. You know, I've loved Cody ever since he's come back, man. I really have, and like I said, I loved Cody's suit tonight. Like, love it. You know, like Cody Rhodes and Bobby Lashley have suit lines, like their own suit lines. Man, they need to release that. I would buy those in an instant. You know, they're probably wicked expensive, but still. Anyway, um. Um, but yeah, I like this segment because of course Seth Rollins is great at being a heel. Cody's a great baby face, and the thing about it is we haven't seen Cody get really emotional, like angry, emotional. You know, like anger. We haven't seen that side of him since he's come back. He's been more, you know, he's been smiling. He's been really professional. You know, right? Of course, with the suits and in all his promo segments, he's been really professional. You know, he hasn't let anything really get under his skin, right? And even tonight when he came out, he told Seth, like, I feel like, you know, you're about to cross a line before Backlash that you don't want to cross. And Seth crossed that line, you know, for the sake of the story, of course. But you know, Seth brought up, you know, Dusty not being able to win the WWE Championship, right? And how Cody won't be able to do the same thing, and you know, other things, right? And that got Cody pissed. Even though Cody kind of knew it was coming, Cody got pissed, and we got to see more anger come out of Cody tonight, which we haven't really seen yet since he's been back. So the segment did its job. It, you know, it built on more, you know, tension between them. You know, at WrestleMania, their match was more about Cody's return, right? And Seth, you know, stealing the show, right? That's really what it was. You know, Seth having a surprise opponent, right? And then Cody's big return. Now it's getting a little more personal between these two. You know, they shook hands after WrestleMania as a sign of respect, and then you know, it confused a lot of people. There was people that thought, "Oh, are they turning Seth babyface? Like, what are they doing here?" But now they booked the rematch, and now Seth and Cody has become a little more personal. And I've actually enjoyed this feud for the most part. I think that it has done a good job, actually, you know, protecting both Cody and Seth, you know, since WrestleMania. And I'm, you know, if I'm being honest, this is probably the match I'm most excited about at WrestleMania Backlash. I'm curious to see, can they recreate what they did at WrestleMania? Of course, it's going to be a great match. I have no doubt about it. But what would they do differently here? We know Cody and Seth are two of the best wrestlers in the world, but what can they do differently with this match that from the WrestleMania match? I don't think they're going to go in there and give us the same match. I think this is going to be a little more storytelling, right? A little more physical. I think it should be a damn good match. It probably will be the best match on the card. This is the match I'm most excited about going to WrestleMania Backlash. There's really nothing else that comes close to it, and I think Seth will probably win. I won't be surprised if Cody wins, but I think they're gonna probably they're gonna have this match going to Hell in a Cell. I think going to Hell in a Cell, you're probably gonna get like Roman versus honestly, the way WWE could make Hell in a Cell WrestleMania Part 3. A lot of these feuds that we saw going into WrestleMania may go all the way into Hell in a Cell, right? Cody versus Seth, I could see it at Hell in a Cell. Maybe RK Bro versus the Usos at Hell in a Cell. Reigns versus McIntyre could be in Hell in a Cell. Maybe Lashley and Almas could be at Hell in a Cell. I pray with all my being this doesn't happen, right? Ron and Charlotte could potentially be. I pray. Like I said, I pray that doesn't happen at all. Please, they need no. But like Ron and Charlotte, you never know. Styles and Edge, I could easily see them going to Hell in a Cell as well. But yeah, in terms of Cody and Seth, I think Seth, I think Seth's gonna get his win back. I think this is another 3-match feud, which Seth does a lot of these days. But yeah, I think Seth will probably beat Cody at Backlash, and then they'll set the stage for a 3rd match on Hell in a Cell. Even though I don't want Cody to lose, but I think it's more likely that Seth wins at WrestleMania Backlash to extend the feud into Hell in a Cell. But that's just my opinion. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I enjoyed this segment here. This was good. This was good between them. But yeah, good stuff here between Cody and Seth. Last but not least, we had in our main event tonight, we had the 6-woman tag: Asuka, Liv Morgan, the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair versus Becky, Rhea, and Sonya Deville. I got a couple things to say here. Not too much, but a couple things. First of all 6 of these women are stars. All 6 of these women are stars. Yes, Liv Morgan is a star. I love Liv Morgan, right? All 6 of these women are stars, and this just shows that the Raw Women's division is actually pretty loaded. You look at the SmackDown Women's division, right? You have Ronda, who has not been good since she's come back. Charlotte, we're all fatigued of her being stuffed down our throats. And really, other than that, you have Sasha and Naomi, who are the tag champions. But the SmackDown Women's division is pretty damn weak compared to Raw. I think probably when Bayley comes back, yes, Bayley should add some firepower to the SmackDown Women's division. If she does indeed come back on SmackDown, which she probably should, because she's going to be needed on that brand. I would not be surprised if they did a heel Bayley feud, a heel Bayley versus a babyface Ronda feud after Charlotte. But anyway, still, just at this main event alone, I was just thinking, like, Raw has a really strong women's division, while SmackDown's is kind of pitiful, and also another thing, just the WWE women's division across the board has so much talent, and they just don't book it correctly, right? On Raw, like, you have these 6 women, and then you have, Alexa Bliss, who is not being used at all, right? Like, I don't know when Alexa Bliss is going to come back to television. Then you have names. You have Carmella and Zelina Vega, who are good workers. You have Doudrop and Nikki Ash, who are also good workers, right? When they're used correctly. That's like 4 names, right? I think, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. Now, Alexa Bliss, that's like 5 other names that you can add It's not like WWE doesn't have. They have names that have a amazing women's division, right? People talk about they need to merge the women's titles. No, you have more than enough firepower to have strong women's divisions. It's the fact that WWE doesn't book their women's divisions correctly. That's the problem. Like I just named 11 women right there that are just on the Raw women's division alone. There's no reason why WWE shouldn't have a super strong women's division. All right, SmackDown's women's division could use a little bit of help, but even still, Ronda, Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, right? You have Naomi, that's 5. You have Natalya and Shayna, 6, 7. And Lacey Evans, 8. So you have names over there. This is that WWE needs to do a way better job of booking them. That's the problem. If WWE did a better job of booking their women, there wouldn't be much for us to argue about, right? So the problem is not, that WWE doesn't have talent. They have the talent. This is that WWE doesn't book their women's division correctly most of the time, right? But yeah, that was the first thing that struck out to me immediately when I saw this main event. I was like, wow. And these 6 women are 6 of the best, right? They're not the best, but they're outside of Asuka, Bianca, Rhea, and I would say probably Liv and Becky, I guess. Well, you guys get the point. All 6 of these women are great. These are 6 really amazing, talented women, right? And let alone, you still have so many other names that are not being used correctly in this division, but I digress. But WWE needs to do a better job of booking the women's division. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for them to have a bad women's division. And then, by the way, did you guys see that post about Ember Moon? Ember Moon, she did an interview this past weekend, and she went off. She went off on, talking about how they wanted people to act sexy like Mandy Rose, right? And it was like WWE, puts Vince in his mindset. They want people to look more sexy and revealing on TV instead of focusing on wrestling. I'm just like, really? What are you doing? You're taking steps back. All the hard work of people like Sasha and Bailey and Asuka, all that hard work is going down the drain. You're going back to the Divas era mindset. You want to be the focus on being revealing and hot. That's the reason why Toxic Attraction, are the dominant team in NXT. Because Mandy Rose, everyone knows Mandy Rose is beautiful. And you've seen her social media. She does her model suits and all that, right? And she looks sexy on TV. But it's just ridiculous how WWE still is going back to that, early 2010 mindset where it's all about just being sexy and being a divas. And it's not, they're not putting a premium on talent and wrestling and storytelling with the woman. Like, come on, so that's just disappointing. But yeah, but anyway, back to this 6-woman tag team match. All 6 of these women are in feuds with one another. Right now, Bianca is not set to defend the Raw Women's Championship at Backlash, even though all 5 of these women would make great matches for her. Of course, they've already done Becky, right? They've already done Sonya Deville. I would love to see Bianca versus heel Rhea Ripley. I would love to see Bianca versus Liv Morgan. I would love to see Bianca versus Asuka. That's a match I think, WWE should probably maybe plan to do that at SummerSlam. I think that's a match right there that everybody would love to see at a big pay-per-view. Bianca versus Asuka, those two would, bring it out of the house on pay-per-view. Honestly, you can make a case maybe Asuka should be the one to take the Raw Women's title away from Bianca if they want to. But either way, Bianca right now she's not going to be defending at WrestleMania Backlash unless they announce something here in the next week or so. But remember, they just had Bianca defend last week against Sonya Deville, so they technically don't really need to have her defend if they choose not to. But anyway, Ugh. So anyway, um, excuse me. So we had uh everyone come out. Becky, Becky looks ridiculous. She cut a promo. It was an okay promo. I just didn't like her tone. The promo itself was okay. Becky talked about how Oscar, you know, how Oscar disrespect her because Becky brought up how before she went to become a mother, right? She vacated the Raw Women's Championship to Oscar. She told Oscar, I'm gonna go be a mother. You go be a warrior, right? And Becky also brought up how when she came back, Oscar was nowhere to be found. Remember Oscar was gone for the last 9 months, right? And then Becky went on to have that Raw Women's Championship run, and now Oscar chooses to come back when she's at her lowest point. So Becky said now her focus is going to be to end Oscar. So I'm not gonna lie, the promo itself was okay. I just wish Becky's delivery was a little bit better, right? Clearly, Becky's now going on this mindset where she's gonna do anything to get back to the top of the mountain or to get back to being in the women's title scene, you know. And I remember I did like Becky's short hair for a little bit, but now I'm just like, it looks so weird to me. Becky got to grow her hair back. It probably will, but still. But yeah, that's something I did notice. Um, but yeah, so Liv Morgan also cut a pretty good promo talking about how she wasn't gonna let Rhea, bully her, blame her anymore. Liv was gonna say, "Just watch what I do to Rhea." So I did like Liv Morgan's promo as well, and that was really it. And then we got the match itself. This was a pretty good, main event. It's always great seeing the woman get the main event slots because it's usually always given to Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, something like that, or even Cody Rhodes these days. But it was cool getting the woman getting the main event spot here. Uh, it didn't mean anything in terms when it comes to WrestleMania Backlash because right now none of these 6 women have a match slated for the card on Backlash. So that was a little bit weird, but it was whatever. I didn't make too much of it. But uh Sonya went after Bianca quickly, but then she tagged out to Rhea, right? But then they were able to get Sonya back in the ring, and the baby faces did double team offense on Sonya. This was a very fast paced and competitive match. Uh but yeah, near the end here, right? It was good to see Asuka get get some action members. This was the first time we've seen Asuka wrestle in nearly a year, 9 months, you know. And if I remember correctly, Asuka was even with WWE, or she was gone right before the live crowds returned. I remember, yes, remember Asuka did fight Rhea and Charlotte at that pay per view. Uh, I forget which pay-per-view it was. I was it Fastlane or Extreme Rules? Something like that. I remember there was a triple threat match last year between Rhea, Charlotte, and Asuka. And I think they were still in the Thunderdome. This was right near the end of the Thunderdome era. And then after that, Asuka went on. Asuka was gone for 9 months. So this was Asuka's real first time back in front of crowds in over a year. Because she did drop the Raw Women's Championship to Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania last year, but she hadn't been back till now. So it was good to see Asuka back. I thought Asuka would get the win here, just being her first match in 9 months, but instead they gave the win to Liv Morgan, which I'm not gonna complain. I love Liv Morgan, and I think it was pretty cool seeing her get the pin in the main event. That's pretty big. So to see Liv get the win here, she pinned Sonya. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And then the baby faces celebrate to end the show, and that was that. Like I said, it was a little bit odd seeing, having this end the show just because none of these women are going to be on the Backlash pay-per-view, but still, I have no problem with the woman main eventing, of course. That's what I want, you know. Like I said, in terms of Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, that feud will probably continue. Those two are going to probably have some singles matches coming up. I would say it is important that yes, you are building Rhea Ripley into a heel, right? And of course, I would love to see heel Rhea Ripley versus babyface Bianca here in the summer. But you also got to remember you need to build up Liv Morgan as well. You got to make both Liv and Rhea look good coming out of this feud whenever you end it, right? But yeah, I was very, very happy to see Liv get the win here in the main event. And Rhea, she looked a lot more aggressive tonight as a heel, which is good, which is good. You know, it doesn't seem like they're making any changes to her character, but making her more aggressive, which I have no problem with. Right. I also found out I think Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews are dating now. Of course, Buddy Matthews is in AEW, right? He's in the Malachi Black faction, the House of Black faction. But somebody said something, I guess, on Buddy Matthews' Twitter, and the person asked, "What does Buddy have that I don't?" Right, and then and Rhea said me. So I thought I thought for a time that Rhea was dating a black. There was a black guy. I don't think it was Dio Madden, but she was dating uh some black guy for a while, but I guess not, which is Rhea's business, of course, whatever. But yeah, I guess Rhea is now dating Buddy Matthews. So I guess that's that. Whatever. Uh of course, that's all weird too, because there's WWE superstars and AEW superstars dating, right? No, that's not weird at all. But yeah, I did like seeing Rhea Ripley's more aggressive side tonight. Um Oscar Becky Lynch, we'll see where that goes. I think it's more important that you build up Oscar as a dominant force. Oscar did look good tonight. She did show some of that aggressiveness she had back in the day, and I think that's what's important. You know, we need aggressive Oscar again. I love Oscar, and in the last couple of years, you took it out away from her. You know, so having Oscar be more aggressive, especially this feud with Becky Lynch, I think is highly needed. And I hope they take those steps to that. It was good. Oscar's no longer remember for the longest time. Oscar was wrestling in that black that black shirt over her gear. She's no longer doing that. So uh that was kind of cool to see. Oscar's no longer wearing that black stuff she used to wrestle in forever. Uh and yeah, I don't know. The plan is to continue Bianca versus Sonya. I don't think they need to. I like Sonya Deville, and I think Sonya needs to just go back to being a regular competitor, right? She could be a great heel, in the women's division as a competitor. I'm not really too interested with her and Sonya or her and Bianca, but we'll see what happens. We'll see, but yeah, this was a good main event. This was a good main event. We'll see what's next for Bianca coming out of WrestleMania Backlash. If they're gonna continue the feud with Sonya, or they're gonna start building up a new challenger for her in the Raw Women's Championship. But that is that. Always cool seeing the woman main event here. But other than that, that's about all. I'm gonna end the as you know, I'm gonna end the podcast right here, right? I want to say thank you guys for joining me here on the Legit Shoot podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed me coming back tonight. I'll let you guys know when the next podcast will be. Maybe you'll get a SmackDown review this weekend. You never know. Probably not, but you never know. We do have WrestleMania Backlash this week. And I will have a WrestleMania Backlash review. I will. It may not be Sunday night after the pay-per-view because um uh because I will be going to WrestleMania Backlash this weekend. It's right near the crib, so I will be at Backlash Sunday night. And we'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know. I'll probably vlog it or something. So I may do a Backlash review on the way home, or I'll just do it when I get home, or I'll do it Monday morning. So, we won't have our normal stream right after Backlash Sunday night. It might be a little bit later. It might be the next day. I will have a Backlash review. It just won't be immediately after the pay-per-view. We'll see. Anyway, other than that, that's about it. I want to thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the podcast. Thank you guys so very much. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel by hitting the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Thank you to everyone who live tuned me. Follow me down on social media down below. Other than that, I will see you guys later. Have a great night, guys. Peace.